I would say suck it up, Buttercup, and spend a little while doing the internal, the leaders, the investors, advisors, the partners, and the evangelists, because when they're talking about you, you've just magnified your team. You went from being a team of one, a team of two, a small pizza marketing team, as I used to call it. You want bang for your buck? Start small at the inside of the circles and work your way out.
Welcome to Connect to Market. I'm Casey Cheshire. Join us as we learn from marketing leaders who are driving founder-led growth. We're sponsored by Ringmaster, building B2B podcasts and communities to reconnect you with your audience. All right, we're doing it. All you got to do is hit the record button and dang, you're off to the races. And I got to say, I'm so excited for the guest today. We've been sort of like coordinating and aligning schedules when she's not flying all over the world, here and there. And so it's happening. And I'm so excited to chat with her and learn from her today. We share a passion for connection and marketing and podcasting. And so, you know, watch out. Like, I don't know if anyone else is going to learn something, but I know I am. So I can't wait to introduce you to her. She is a marketing leader, a thought leader of thought leaders, a podcaster, entrepreneur, a startup exec, even full stack marketing executive. And she's got this passion for impactful products and things that actually turn chaos into clarity. Spent 14 plus years at Google. Goodness gracious. And has worked with Fortune 500 travel companies. She's a 4X founder who spent the last 5 years leading startups, host of the Joy of Connecting podcast, founder of Wednesday Women. Melissa Moody, welcome to the show.
So glad to be here. As you know, you and I like to find reasons to talk, and this, sitting down to record a podcast with you is the best one. So glad to be here, Casey. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, thank you for being here. And especially for this show, it's special. The name is even connect to the market or connect to market. And so I bring on the queen of connection here. So I'm excited to sort of like pick your brain and learn from you. But we have a particular tradition to ask you this first question. I can't just ask you the question. I actually have to put on this giant blue foam finger.
What? So cool.
And I have to ask you, Melissa, what is the number one thing that marketers need to do in order to connect to their market?
Well, I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me some more questions to get into the details, because we love to do that. But
yes,
I will say, in an age where everything is automated, remember a few years ago, we used to call ourselves digital marketers? Well,
I do.
It's part of our DNA now. And in a world where everything is automated, I'm going to say the number one thing that marketers need to do is to step back to the world of real human relationships and understand how that infuses everything that they, and I will also say that they and their companies overall, are doing. And I have a kind of whole approach that I take to that, but it matters at every point of a company's growth. And it excites me to see a couple of new ways that marketers are doing that more modernly.
Oh man, words after my own heart. Yeah, like the tech, right? We got so consumed by it,
Yeah.
right? We got absorbed into it even.
Mhm.
How did this happen? Was it just fun? Was it working? Like how has this come about to the point where we even need to talk about stepping back?
Well, I don't think, I talk to every marketer every day about the fact that it is a dual-edged sword. Everything around us is helping us do our jobs better, more effectively, more creatively even.
Yeah.
But you'll hear that I started every one of those phrases with more. And so there's more, 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 more. And we as humans, our reptilian brains, I guess our mammalian brains, are not built to go beyond a certain level. And so we're operating in this world where, with the click of a button, you can come up with infinite variations on an ad campaign. With the click of a button, you can set up all of the product distribution that you need. It just becomes more and more and more. And so if we don't root ourselves in a real human connection, relationships, understanding, we're going to lose not only ourselves, but whatever we're building into the chaos. It's going to disappear into the chaos. I'm not exactly sure, to answer your question, how we got here, besides the fact that we know that technology, increases at an exponential rate, and the period of time that each one of us is living in This is not like when the horse and carriage was invented, this is not even
Right.
like when the TV showed up. We are living at an exponentially, um, inundated point in time, and we find ourselves there, and so, yeah, the question is, what do we do about it?
Yeah, and, man, the idea of losing ourselves if we don't root ourselves, I love that word, even just rooting ourselves. Otherwise, you get washed away, and I definitely can see what you're talking about with the exponential changes. Yeah, the noise just gets noisier,
Mm,
so if you're not and that tidal wave picture you showed me earlier, it's like, if we're not rooted, man, we're just gonna get washed away by all of that, all of the tech and innovation, all the noise that it creates. It's crazy.
mhm, mhm. I mean, when I think of connect to market, joy of connecting, like I talk about, roots are connection, right? Like, we have to find that thing that we hold on to. Mhm.
Alright, I'm in. You mentioned you have a whole way of approaching this infusing it into everything you do at every stage of growth. How do you I mean, is there a place to get started? Or where do you what do you recommend?
Yes, absolutely. Back when I was at Google, there used to be a saying, and I didn't hear it as much in the later years as the company evolved, but we used to have a saying that was focus on the user and all else will follow. It was really actually one of Google's like early tenets, right? I mean, to the point where, listen to me, I literally can repeat it back to you, you know, many years after leaving. But I still hold on to that because I think if you return to the core, user, or for a marketer, the core customer, um, you're going to find this thread of connection that can really serve you well. And so the way that I approach marketing, absolutely for the startups I work at, but I've seen it work at much larger companies as well, is basically a framework that looks at how you're connected, how you are like focused on that user or focused on the consumer at different levels, at every level. Because as marketers, we think, I'm here to reach the customer. And we go right to the level of how do I reach my customer? My framework thinks about it slightly differently. And it's more of an inside out approach, which says, how do I focus on the people that are even closer to my business than the customer? Because then when I get to focusing on my customer, I'm gonna have a really well-established foundation. I can chat more about it, but I call it concentric circles of influence because it starts at the center and it slowly builds and builds and builds. And then at, a few circles out, you actually get to the customer, the traditional marketing customer. But there's a lot that we can do to build those, you know, user slash customer slash human relationships at a lot of different levels. And it's a great way to kind of bring that connection, rooting it in the person you're talking to back to the work that we're doing every day.
Wow, and it sounds like, spoiler alert, the customer isn't, like, the center circle, the first thing you do?
No.
There's something else? There's someone else?
Yeah, long before we start shouting at the market, there is a lot of enabling that we can do for folks who can really influence our marketing, our business, our success.
That'd be a fun, like, counter podcast to this. Instead of connecting to the market, just shout at the market.
How to shout at the market.
Yeah,
I think we saw it during some Super Bowl
I think s
commercials.
I think so. Did you have a favorite? I know it's a sidetrack, but did you have a
I did have a favorite, but it was an absolutely inane, ridiculous one. I cannot get out of my head Benson Boone and Ben Stiller for the Instacart one where they're shouting about Instacart lets you choose your bananas. I mean, that literally is shouting at the market, but I quite enjoyed it.
you know what? I that one stood out to me because I'm pretty sure Ben Stiller or a body that looked like him, like, flung himself around
That is
the room and fell off the balcony and smashed the drum set and
that's it. And, there's, nothing to be called out wrong for good old marketing tradition of picking 2 very likable celebrities that I enjoy and putting them on a stage together.
yeah, and by contrast, there were a lot of other commercials that did that, but this one was actually funny, and it was also, like, it wasn't trying to say or prove anything, it was just like, "Look, 2 absolutely ridiculous people being silly,"
Yep.
and they pulled it off. I agree.
It probably isn't the most strategic marketing, but I quite enjoyed it.
Well, there was one that was like a karaoke song, I
Oh,
think,
that
too, right?
stupid Coinbase ad. Sorry, Coinbase.
Yeah. Didn't they do QR codes last time?
Maybe, but
I think they're like 2 for 2 with weirdness.
that one just made me feel dumb instead of making me feel humor, so no.
You weren't here for the karaoke.
No, no, I well,
Yeah.
no. It was Backstreet Boys karaoke, and I was not here for it.
Got it, got it.
And that's my generation.
Yeah, right? And you always have to wonder, is that just a terrible commercial or is it just not for me, you know?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
they spent millions on
Millions.
90s era animated karaoke lyrics. So, yeah, that could be a study in an MBA program for all I know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you for going that sidetrack with me.
Yep. Happy to.
So topical. But, okay, so before the customer, there are these other things that we need to talk through. I'd love to learn more about this framework and where we go first.
Yeah, you want me just to start at the center? Why not? Shall we?
Yeah, I wanna get rooted.
Let's get rooted. Well, what's funny to me is that a lot of the things that I will mention in this framework, we're seeing happen naturally. So, if we were to go all the way to the center of these concentric circles, you'll find your team, you'll find your employees. If you're a small group, you'll find your founders, you'll find your CEO. And one thing we've been seeing a ton in the last few years is this emergence of thought leadership on the part of company leadership, right? In early stage companies, it's founder led brand. At larger companies, it's press and PR coverage and making sure your CEO is on the stage at conferences. But there is a huge amount of marketing to be done through enabling your employees and your leadership. So the very tightest circle is step back. Do your team members, I don't want to just say the leadership, so I'm going to say the team members, does that tightest circle of folks understand your story, understand and love what you're building? And do they know how to talk about you? Because in today's world, I mean, especially with social media, we're seeing social media managers for companies have their own personal presence online, right? You cannot deny that the trend of having more people at your company talk about you is a very powerful one. We see a lot of brands, especially on LinkedIn, if they're doing it right, they have an entire quote unquote team of folks who work at their company who are simply talking about what they're doing because they either believe in it, find joy in it, know that it is interesting and helpful to other people. So the tightest circle that as a marketer, you should be thinking about enabling and leveraging is your employees. And if you've jumped beyond that, this is my warning to everyone listening, like, go take a beat today and think about what you're doing to enable that because it can go far.
Well, that makes so much sense and totally neglected, right? That internal marketing. You just eat or I was chatting with Chris Silvestri. I don't know if you know him.
Mhm,
I'd love to introduce you to him, messaging guy. And he was like, here's a couple questions you should ask them. And it it made me wonder, like, would our internal team even be able to answer that question?
mhm,
Could they answer it? Would they answer it the same?
mhm,
Um, and they're right next to you. Maybe they work right next to you. Like, but do they know? And worry about them before you're thinking about the person virtually 3,000 miles away.
mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, employees are essentially like your first customers, and we forget that.
Man, you are just full of sound bites, fellow podcaster. I don't know. Like, how do you even clip this episode? There's just so many things. The employees are the first customers.
Yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
So they're the center of the concentric circles. What do you do with them?
Keep going out? Okay.
Oh, no, before we go out even.
I love that because every circle I'm gonna talk about, you have to think about what is it that this group of people need to behave or to believe, right? Like, what is it that they need to believe and understand? How do I enable them? How do I get them to understand that? And then, yes, to your point, which channels? Like, what what are the marketing channels that I need to think about at that stage? Because it's going to be different. Every circle of influence is going to have a different approach, like each of those. But those three questions really make it. So, what do they need to believe? I think I already touched that. How do I enable them? Enablement's going to look similar but different at each of these stages. Making sure the messaging is crystal clear, right?
Yeah.
All those things. But to your question about how do we do something there? Which channels? I do think we're seeing a very obvious one right now is really the enablement for social media, like empowering your teams to build their own, not the companies, but their own personal presence out in the world that benefits them, but is also a wonderful channel for the company to appear in. Now, granted, if you're going to screw them over and do terrible company things, they may not want to talk about you the right way. Like, what I'm saying is
Right.
not give your employees messaging to spout out into the universe. I'm saying build a system in which your employees can each build their own personal brands that will benefit them as they grow. And then every so often, they're going to be talking about what you're building. They're going to talk about the lessons they've learned in the work that they are doing. And of course, for founders, for CEOs, for the leadership, this is especially important. It's, I mean, in a world where, AEO is important, having your boss quote, or, your boss or your leader quoted in the press, having them be on stages, this is all going to be scraped for others to find. So,
Yeah.
yeah, really the channel that I would stress heavily at this point would be either social media and or at the larger scale, potentially press and media coverage for your leaders. Yeah.
What is there a magic way to empower them all? Is there a particular channel that works best for employees?
I mean, I think channels obviously by business, right? So,
Yeah.
if you're building like tech software, get your whole team on LinkedIn. Like optimize their LinkedIns and give them some guidelines for how to show up. Maybe help them
Yeah.
build, custom GPTs to help, them get ideas for what to post. Give some guide. I've done before. I've actually created just a very simple document that helps people who've never really been posting to start posting, or not even posting, start engaging. How do you just show up there and engage on conversations that might matter to them or to the business? Um, yeah, so that's an easy
Okay.
way. Just the enablement is key there, though, because a lot of people haven't had the training or are feeling nervous about showing up in social media from a professional standpoint. All that.
Yeah, to your point, may not know how to do it.
Mhm.
Just get a little bit of training in there.
Yep.
And for them too, not like a selfish training. Here's what you can do to blast the company out there. Just know here's what your career needs. You need to have some consistency and you need to have some activity on LinkedIn so that it shows you're sharing content, being a thought leader. And so here's what I recommend you do, right? And like teaching them and not kind of squirreling that away. I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing I will say is in a market where there's a lot more job change and a lot more shift, and to the point about more AI resumes that flood every application,
Oof.
uh,
Yeah.
building a public presence is key to career growth, so you're really helping people do it. Even if they're not, out there being huge brand influencers, just having a
Yeah.
presence online is mission critical to getting your next great job, so really you're helping them, as ongoing employees in their careers by doing that.
Wow. Okay. So circle number one.
So let's keep moving out, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's expand. Yeah.
The next one, I think people forget about this all the time, especially important at at small stage companies, is think about the next folks that are closest to your business and the folks that are most aligned in incentives to see you succeed. It is going to be your investors and your advisors. So these are people who have, in some cases, even financial incentive to see success of the company. So you want to think for that group, how am I, again, what do they need to know? How am I enabling them? But the key here is that these are some of the people who are going to really plug you in to other opportunities that could be business changing. So I'm not even just
Yeah.
talking at the marketing level, reaching specific companies. I'm talking about connect you to new partners or unlock the funding that your CEO has been trying to secure. These are the folks who introduce you and open doors. And that does compound into influence in the market, which is part of your marketing. So a lot of marketers never even stop to think about this group. But for investors and for advisors, and I think in the modern world, I want to toss in this concept of evangelists. There are also people who maybe aren't your like equity driven advisors or paid board advisors, right? Like your board, all those folks. There's also this concept of evangelists, people who are very tied to your business and helping it grow because they have an incentive. So let's just bucket all that group together. Um, Folks who are close to the business because they are aligned with your growth as a company in some way. What are you giving them? Do they know your narrative? Do they even know your ICP? Like, do they even know who you want as customers? Or are they kind of just there for the ride? These are well-connected folks that should be one more of your, concentric circles of customers. Let's call it that maybe. Like they
Mm.
are a customer set. And have you thought about them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, and we get so focused on everyone else
I
then
know we're not even close to the customer circle yet, Casey.
so wild.
I mean, that's when I'll go one more circle, I'll kinda do 2 at a time. So we've got that group, and then the next one out, this is one where where I could speak more to a more of a modern channel, but I will summarize that I've seen among marketers in particular, a lot of our traditional channels I would say not failed us, have gone chaotic. They are no longer predictable. Um, I might even go on a limb to say all of our traditional channels are not predictable. One that I think is still staying very strong when it comes to growth, because it is a mite more predictable, is partnership. And so the next circle for me is partners. Are you a part of the partnership conversations that are happening at your company? If you are a marketer, are you very close to what your team is saying to other companies who work with you in that manner? Now, partners, I'm not talking really marketing partnerships, although we could loop that in. I'm talking fundamental business partnerships. So in a lot of, especially in software, if you have one company that if they get more of your company, they're going to do better. That's who I'm talking about. Again, these are incentive aligned, right? So both the last circle I talked about and this one are people who do better when you guys do better. Oh my God, they should be marketing for you, right?
Yeah.
So a channel, like the channel of partnerships right now, I have been seeing a lot of, you know, smart companies hiring in that space. And I would say that that's a
Yeah.
good signal that it's working better than some other channels. And so, yeah, the next circle out for me is partners and all of that, yeah, all that that entails.
What's the secret hack to make a partnership work? I've seen it work so well, and I've seen it not work and just waste a lot of time.
I mean, my secret hack is hire a really good partnerships leader. I mean, the people that I've talked with someone else about this. I talked with a young marketer who is applying for a partnerships role. And I think the concept of partnerships, when you talk to marketers, they think of marketing partnerships, they think of collaborations, right? That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about partnerships. I'm talking about very closely integrated business strategy and sales strategy and sometimes product strategy. And that takes someone with expertise. So do not underestimate the power of a truly strategic partnerships expert because they can do amazing things for the business. Yeah. And I
Hmm.
don't think my strategy can always be just hire someone, but I'm going to say it in this case.
Yeah, no, for sure. But like, yeah, again, not even at customers yet. And partners, I love partners. I think it's one of the last remaining standards of like human connection too. There's like a human facet to it
Yeah.
that a lot of the other channels don't have.
It's also, you know, marketing sometimes gets put down kind of this one section of what we think about as marketing, right? It's pushing out the messaging through the channels to reach the audience. But fundamentally, marketing is about the market. And if you don't understand what other companies and what other, you know, major parts of the ecosystem would help your business, you're not really understanding the market. So it's not just about market as customers, but market as partners and who would move your business forward if you were better aligned with them.
And then there's, just a whole world of marketing specifically to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Partnership marketing. I mean, partner marketing, it's really a very specific, you could go down a lot of different areas of simply that. But at the very least, for listeners who are feeling slightly overwhelmed by this, spend a little time mapping out who are the partners. Have you shared your most recent positioning with them? I mean, just do some really simple touch points, I would say.
Okay. Um, and I guess on that same note, for the single marketer in a startup or small team, how do you wrap your head around? I know we have more circles to go, but like, how do you prioritize all these other circles?
Okay. For a marketer on a small team, I
Yeah.
would say it's more important than for anyone else to start at the center and go out because everything comes down to efficiency when you're in a small team, and everything comes down to making it work for you. Um, we haven't really even gotten, I mean, essentially next step, we're getting into the realm of more traditional-ish customers. at the next
Yeah.
circle. But everything we've talked about so far is, in my mind, as a marketer, small company, low hanging fruit, to use the term. These are things where you probably don't have to do too much to then enable these other groups of people who are then going to go out and help you do your job.
Yeah.
So I would say, suck it up, buttercup, and spend a little while doing the internal, the leaders, the investors, advisors, the partners, and the evangelists, because when they're talking about you, you've just magnified your team. You went from being a team of one, a team of two, a small pizza marketing team, as I used to call it. You want bang for your buck, start small at the inside of the circles and work your way out.
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And, you know, a little tough love from, Alaskan marketing, you know? Like, "Let's go. That's our job. Let's juggle these plates."
Well, and I want to pause a little bit because I love talking about, that early stage and growth marketing, but this same thing is critical at the larger businesses too. It, it, it plays a different role. So in the early stage, it's going to give you efficiency and bang for your buck.
Mm,
If you're later stage, if you're a larger business, what it does is it keeps you from having some fundamental fall apart. Because if you stay with this and you think about these circles, it's going to prevent brand drift, right? Like your brand will stay stronger. It's going to prevent misalignment between what you're saying to whom.
mm.
And it's going to prevent hollow marketing, right? It's going to prevent putting stuff out into the world that's just kind of, um, and yes, listeners, I did make that voice with my,
Yeah.
that was, that was a womp womp type of sound. So
That was
I think
yeah.
it plays a role in both arenas. It's not just a new strategy for small stage. It really is critical um, at the big stage companies too.
Yeah. Okay. Sick. Partners, I love partners. So what comes after partners?
Okay. Yeah, we have kind of those incentive aligned folks. Really, the next thing that comes is customers. But wait, this is the important part, your current customers. I'm not talking about the customers you still need to go out and get. I am talking about rabid, and this is where I won't talk all day, but I'm most passionate. The marketing that you do for your current customers and the enablement that you do. You've already got these customers. They have already purchased. How are you talking to them, right? How are you enabling them? And in which channels? Here's one where the modern marketer, I've seen a lot of conversations about this, customer success as the new marketing, right? You've probably
Mhm.
seen
Yeah,
sessions on that. How do
definitely.
how do we talk to our existing customers in a way that makes them the best marketing channel we have? I'm very so customer success as a marketing strategy is big. The one that I'm really passionate about is from a content standpoint. Nobody wants to hear about your business, but they do want to hear about amazing success stories of other folks who are using your business to succeed. So, to frame that better, I believe deeply in putting your customer as the centerpiece of all of the marketing that you do. Talking about their success, talking about what it looks like when somebody uses what you do so that they can reach their goals. I can go on that. It's kind of a separate topic. I could go on it all day, but it's really good content marketing around your current customers as the centerpiece. So those are some of the kind of the channels I think about mostly for that.
Yeah, so then that drives the majority of your marketing to everyone else is just kinda shouting out the successes?
Mm. I think so. Yeah, it plays a dual role. First of all, it makes the customers themselves feel really good and kind of reinforces, hey, it was really you working with us is making you better, right? That it helps market to the customers so that when it comes to upsell and renewals and all that, you're getting more business. But then it also is just a more authentic way of marketing, right? You're not saying, look at all these
Yeah.
features we use. You're saying, look at what success this person who looks like you had when they use that feature. It just flips things around a little bit, and honestly, I'll be really, really candid here, it's way more fun. It's way more fun. You can do
Yeah.
so much with these incredible people doing incredible things, and you're not stuck talking about, "Oh, we've got this feature and that feature and blah, blah, blah."
Yeah. Yeah, no, which is just the worst and makes everyone just wanna puke ever so slightly because it's just like, "Ugh, I don't care."
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's real, you know?
And it gets lost it to the point of noise, that stuff gets lost.
Yeah.
Everybody's got new features. Everybody's integrating AI. We don't need you. What I want to hear is a really, really rad use case of that guy who used AI in a really cool way, and I want to do like him. Oh, and by the way, he used your product to do it.
Yeah.
That's something that catches my eye.
Why do you think more people aren't doing that? Do they just not have success stories?
I think we get stuck in sometimes just the old ways of doing things, and I think sometimes we get swept up in the wave of what our product and what our company is doing versus how we sit in the real world, like what actual role we play.
Yeah.
If you're at a growth stage company and you've ever done any press or PR, you're going to learn really quickly nobody cares about your baby. Like, it may be the cutest damn baby in the world, but nobody else cares about your baby. Like, they don't.
Yeah.
So you have to think of what is going on in the world that would make my baby relevant, right? Like, that then people would have a reason to care. It's just, I think we get a little swept up as marketers sometimes in what's the new feature and what's the new, product evolution, or I'm so important. And it's really just taking a step back and being like, hey, all, update, newsflash, you guys and your companies are not important to most people at most times during their days. And once you
Yeah.
stomach that, then you can sort of actually approach marketing in a way that might bring relevance to those people when they need it.
Yeah. A little bit of a gut check to make sure you're not just sharing stuff that you think is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes total sense. I think we've all been guilty of that.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
isn't this the
Yes.
best? But the worst one thing I hate the most is check out my new website. I'm like, I could give an F about your new website. Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Exactly. That's a great example. I love that so much.
And they still do it. And they're all proud of them. It's like, we should send an email to everyone so they could check out our new. We've spent 6 months on this. Okay, cool story, bro.
Irrelevant. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
completely. Man.
Well, you're right. Definitely let's give grace to ourselves, right? We all do
Right.
it, and we all get excited about things that in the grand scheme of things don't matter much to others, and that's okay. We get excited. It matters to us, and that's never a bad thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
Always I think in that bucket, in that circle of current customers, that's where you really constantly have to be flipping the script to put them first and put their needs and their goals and their wants, which is good marketing practice. We just forget sometimes.
Yeah, we forget. And maybe the application of it is harder that it's easier to say that, but then yeah, like what does an email look like that is there to serve the, the recipient, you know? It's probably not your standard templated
Yeah.
email that you send out.
Well, and do any of us, how many of us are really reading those? I tend to be an email stickler. I read
Yeah.
very little that comes into my inbox. And if you want to have me read what comes into your inbox, you have earned it by putting things in my inbox that I really enjoy and love reading. One of my favorite there is a marketing email that I actually look forward to reading. And
Oh,
what
let's go.
yeah, it's actually a small company, but they're growing very fast, but it's called Alaska Salt Company, and the owner, Brittany, writes the most spit your tea out, sometimes completely inappropriate emails about her life and building the business and building her family. And she always ends it with a hilarious, here, okay, if you read all this way, here's a promo code that you can use. And there's all these she's like, yeah, I have to do marketing too. So here's a promo code. But the stories are, they make me go red in the face. They make me spit my drink out laughing. They are hilarious. And I really love reading them. And they're more from an entertainment standpoint. But the idea is, are you actually putting value in someone's inbox? Because very often we default into just sending stuff. And if you're just sending stuff and hoping for open rates and click rates, I don't think you're going to see it, especially when, again, one click of a button and any company can send automated emails from now until eternity,
Yeah.
right? Nobody's sitting there with a pen and quill writing beautifully written Jane Austen letters anymore.
No, they're not.
I would read those. And so
Would you?
so think I guess that would be a good channel to think about for current customers, I would say. These are people who are already in your circles. You're already talking to them. Like, are you just spewing crap at them? Or are you actually giving them value? That would be a great, quick little activity for all of us marketers listening.
Yeah. Man, and I just signed up for Alaska Salt Company. We'll link to it in the show notes for people if they want to go subscribe. They might get a little bump in their
I hope
subscriptions.
so. They have great products, but they also are a great company, well, owned locally and all that. So they're good.
Yeah, I'm seeing a million pages. Everything from let's give them a little shout. We got some scrub. We got some salts. We got
Mhm.
jewelry, hats, sauces. What do they not have? Do they just have
I mean,
everything?
they literally have
Art.
an embroidered, what do you call it? Like an embroidered, one of those little like a handkerchief that's embroidered that says like "Kiss my salty ass" and like "No more salty
Nice.
tears," and, so
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I just saw a shirt, a salty bitch. I'm like, okay.
yep. I'm a salty bitch. I think I have a shirt and a bracelet that say
Do
that.
you have the shirt?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh man. So yeah, shout out to them for keeping it real in their email and just kind of entertaining you and reminding you about the brand and
Yeah.
enough for you to even bring it up here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
That's great. That's the goal.
Well, and that's where I mean, I think that that's where the current customers circle evolves into the next one, which, "Oh my gosh, we totally made it," when we're not even done yet. But that next circle is your potential customers. This is the thing that everybody thinks the marketers are going out to reach, is your ICP, right? The folks who are in your audience, in some way aware of you potentially, or maybe not even yet, but like the inner circle of that is the ones who are already aware of you. And half the time, it's things like that. It's when I'm a customer and I love it and it makes me want to talk about it. That we know word of mouth is a powerful channel, right? So if you're doing that previous current, circle around your current customers, well, it's going to bleed out in a very efficient way into your potential customers. You talking to me because I'm your customer, the person who looks like me and has my needs is the potential customer, and we're talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Those conversations are happening. And I think just because we maybe don't have a clean way of tracking it in our marketing automation platforms doesn't mean it's not happening, you know?
We know it's happening. We know it's potentially the most impactful channel. And we know it's happening not just in marketing, but in sales. You and I were brought together by a great company, Comsor, that talks about kind of the warm relationships, right?
Yeah.
And so, warm introductions into more people like me is a huge channel for sales right now. And that's this bleeding of the two circles into each other, right? Your current
Yeah.
customers into your potential customers.
Man, I mean, this is fantastic. Is that the outer ring?
Oh, I've got one more.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, the last one is you've got your ICP, right? And then
Yeah.
that essentially is, those clear, the folks that fit your profile, they would want to use you, whatever. The one more that I will go is just your TAM, right? Your total addressable market. This is that whenever we see like an investment slide, it's got here are the people that really need the product, but here are all the potential people that could need the product. So that last one is kind of that big broad circle. It's obviously the hardest one to influence directly. But you don't get to your TAM unless you've talked to all those other circles first. You don't it's
Mm,
impossible to just shout at a broad market like that. So if we
right.
even want to talk about TAM, we better have something in place at every circle on the way up to it.
And how often do we just do exactly the opposite of what you're
Yeah.
describing? We start with the TAM and then we're just it's like shouting into the windy ocean,
Yes.
you know,
Yes, it is. It is.
like seagulls.
Yep.
Um, Sick. Okay. Well, we could probably have an episode on each one of these circles.
Probably.
So my next question for you before we run out of time, because we literally could talk to each other all day, is really who are you? Who are you? How do you know these things? How have you created this framework? Can you take me back in time, little Melissa days? Did you know you're going to be an absolute marketing badass, teaching the teachers what is up and sharing all this good stuff? Like, what was it like?
Um, well, actually, it's funny that you said teaching the teachers because actually that's where I started my career. Out of college, I
Yeah.
was a teacher for 5 years. I have my master's in education, and so I do think some of it is rooted in this idea of you have a student and you have a lesson and your goal is to get them to understand and comprehend. And I think that's really how I made the pivot into marketing. I won't even tell you what year because I'm feeling old today.
3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
3 years ago.
when I made that pivot, that was the way I thought about it, was marketing is really a variation of teaching. And so actually, I love that you brought that up because it really does feel like that's kind of what I've applied here is I've been a student of what does that look like in different scenarios. And then at some point along the way, I realized it was kind of it had this kind of graphic relationship of being kind of concentric circles. But yeah, I will also give so credit to my teaching days, and I'll also give credit. Absolutely, I could not have imagined a better place to become the marketer that I am than at Google because I'm rooted in. I still get dorky over search, right? Like paid search and organic, and all of the things that go into the amazing evolution of what was Google's early days, right? And not too early days, but proud to start in search, but then I was there during all these major evolutions for marketers. So I was there when they acquired YouTube and video. We all started talking about video. I was there when Android came in and we all started hyper focusing on mobile. I think the year of mobile went on for like 6 years. I was very deep in the mobile thing. I was there when DoubleClick came in and understanding programmatic advertising and all of that era. Um, and so, I was very lucky to be at an amazing company during those years and soak up all that knowledge. But then I will also say there's nothing like getting your hands dirty at a startup where you have to see it all, really see what works, be able to abandon the stuff that doesn't work. I think I got the more on the ground, test of marketing when you have to actually try something, see if it works, abandon it if it doesn't, pivot, be the owner of multiple channels. It is so hard to be a ground level marketer in a fast environment like we have. And so
Yeah.
I suppose between all of that, that's who I am. And also, I have two amazing kids, a great husband, two cool dogs. I live in Alaska. I like to do stuff that challenges me, and that lands on the marketing side as well. And so
Oh man. It sounds like you're checking all the boxes and you're just living a great life. A bit of a hypothetical question for you
yeah,
next. Are you ready for this? I know you are because Alaska, hardy people, ready for hypothesis here.
yeah.
Okay, I may or may not have a time machine here in New Hampshire.
Is it a hot tub time machine? Do you remember that movie?
It's not a hot tub, and that's the first time anyone's asked me that, but I feel like it should be a hot tub because it's cold out and yeah, so I will take that note with me, but yeah, currently it's not a hot tub, so you may be cold, just bring the mucklucks. So it's a particular kind of time machine. You can get a chance to go back in time and meet yourself after 4 days after your undergrad, right? You're in that
Oh,
teaching path, and you get to go talk to that version of you. What do you tell yourself? What are you telling that Melissa?
when I first was leaving undergrad, and I have a very liberal arts major. I was an art history major and I double majored
Wow.
in linguistics as well. So I have
Okay.
very liberal arts background. When I was leaving undergrad, I almost went into iBanking, like full on high pressure New York City, that
No
type of
kidding.
stuff. Actually, I really wanted to be a bond trader, which is a vicious, cutthroat, and very challenging area. I thought, I've always been hyper competitive, but I was convinced to go the teaching direction because I met some incredible people who were doing incredible things. It was an older alumnus, and the gentleman who ran this school that I ended up learning at, getting my master's at, very specific school. Um, and the decision I made to do that was really based on working with great people. And so I think I would tell myself, nothing will serve you better in your career and in life than surrounding yourself with good people and smart people who do cool, smart things. So whether you know what you're going to do or not, just go where the awesome people are. I think that's the advice I would give myself because for the most part, it did serve me very well in my career, but it's also something I constantly am telling myself now.
Yeah, man, the proximity, um, to people and their influence, the whole idea of learning and being like the people you spend the most time with too.
They always say, like for the content we consume, it's you are what you eat, right? So surround yourself with great people who are thinking in cool ways and doing neat things, and it absolutely rubs off. And
Yeah,
it can really
man.
really serve you well.
Oh, powerful way to wrap up the show. This is so cool. Where can people go to connect with you? What do you want them to click on? What do you want them to do?
Well, I will say what I'm doing now is an evolution again of being by cool people and, putting the customer first and a lot of what I talked about today. So I have fallen into going full time on a business that I started as a little side project. But Wednesday Women is a company that amplifies extraordinary executive women. And we do
Mm,
that through our public movement that everyone can follow. The men should be following it, daughters should be following it. And then we also have kind of a private membership for the executive women themselves. And so that's what I'm doing now. So if you want to find me, go and follow Wednesday Women. You can find
yeah.
everything we do at wednesdaywomen.org. And I am very active personally on LinkedIn, a lot in most of it in relationship to what we're building at Wednesday Women. So, yep, connect with me on LinkedIn. Just tell me you heard me here on the Connect to Market podcast. And that's where Casey and I first met. So I'm a huge
Yep.
proponent of, being human and connecting well on LinkedIn. And that's how I surround myself with great people like you, Casey.
Oh, I appreciate that. Likewise, for sure, as I've learned from you for nearly an hour. Thank you so much for coming on here and hanging out and connecting with me. It's been great. My brain is full and my ability to speak is rapidly declining as I think about all the different to-dos I want to do after this conversation.
Me too. I think I gave myself some of my own to-do list. So yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been fantastic. And those listening, if you learned something, I freaking know you did, because I literally have 2 pages of notes over here, front and back.
Look at those notes.
Then share this with someone else. One person, 9,000 people, 2 people, whatever. But like, who needs to hear this? Who maybe someone is jumped out to the TAM and there's a whole episode of circles inside of all of that. And maybe give your friend a nudge and say, hey, there's some circles you're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Melissa's got something going on here. Check this thing out. And Wednesday Women, check it
Check
out.
it out.
Get involved.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. With that, thank you again, Melissa.
My pleasure.
All right, everyone. This has been a crazy cool, very exciting episode of the Connect to Market Pod. We will see you all next time. And that wraps up another episode. Thank you for joining. For show notes and other episodes, visit us at connecttomarket.com. Connect to Market is sponsored by Ringmaster, creating podcasts and communities that create relationships, generate revenue, and drive growth.